So, Luke, Ailish, your partner, had the transplant, then her time in hospital. What was that like? How did you support her in that time?
Yeah, so I mean, it starts off the journey starts off in the ICU, and for a lot of that portion, sort of there's not it doesn't seem like there's much going on. Obviously, you can notice the improvement, but the improvement is from lying virtually unresponsive to slowly starting to talk and things like that. So um, a lot of that time was just spent sitting by the bed and rotating in and out with her parents and her siblings as well, and just making sure there was someone there. But really, that it didn't always seem like there was much for us to do at first. And then as she sort of started to come around a bit more, it's tough seeing someone in a situation like that, a bit confused about what was going on, and just making sure that we were sort of there, so that she had someone to talk to when she was ready for it. And yeah, there's also I know that there's no hard and fast time for how long someone will spend in the ICU, so that is difficult as well. When it gets to day 2 or 3 and you think, is this going to be a few weeks? Is this going to be, are we going upstairs tomorrow? Ailish was in the ICU for 6 days, but looking back on that, I probably couldn't have told you how long it was, because time starts to blur down there.
Yeah.
And then after that, made the move up into the ward, and up in the ward, things started improving, and it was really good to see her start. And that's kind of when we were up in the ward was when the first time that you let yourself think, hey, the reason we did this is because she's going to be better than she was before. And you start seeing that rapid improvement and thinking, like, this is going to keep happening. The point of this was so that why we went through all of this, why she went through all of this, was so that this improvement could happen. And that really starts when you get up to the ward, which is incredible to see. From my point, it's just being there was the number one thing. And then just, again, trying to stay positive. Again, the not knowing how long you're going to be there is tough for, as I'm sure you'd know, it's tough for the person in the bed. And I was just trying to highlight, hey, like, think about the improvements we've had over the last couple of days. Like, you walked around the ward yesterday, and today we did 2 or 3 laps. And I guess the other thing that is sort of difficult is you don't want to benchmark yourself on what someone else is doing, which is a pretty odd thing to say. But there were 2 or 3 other lung transplants that happened around, very, very closely to the time that Ailish had hers, and we actually became quite close with those people. But sometimes they might fly up through ICU and be in the ward quicker than you were, or they might have been in ICU for a very long time. And so to try and you didn't want to sort of think, okay, well, why aren't the improvements happening as quickly as they're happening over there? Because every transplant is different, and every human body is different, and they take things differently. People were in different situations before they had the transplant. So yeah, it's like an individual journey that she had to go through. And my role was, again, just to sort of be there and just whatever she needed. If she needed, sometimes that's just, can you go get the nurse? Can you distract me? Can you keep my spirits up, or something like that? So that's mostly what I think about with the in the hospital journey.
Yeah, and I guess that's just how you said it then. It's everybody is different. And as hard as it is, and speaking from experience, all I wanted to do post-transplant was get the hell out of that hospital. And I think the drugs that I was on were really throwing my mood around, and I was very on edge. stuff that would never normally bother me, it was like a big deal. So did you find it was difficult navigating those high levels of drugs?
I don't want to say anything that'll get me in trouble about A-listers mood, but
No way, this
no,
isn't
I
going to
mean,
go on the internet or anything.
it's a difficult, it's a stressful and a difficult environment for anyone anytime you're in hospital. And no one wants to be there. No one wants to be in hospital. And then you add in a new organ, and you add in a bunch of wires being stuck into your body, and people coming around and prodding and poking you, and holding charts and looking at you, and then on top of that you add in a bunch of different painkillers. It's difficult to keep your mood up, and I very much was aware of all those different problems that she was having, and sometimes you don't want to say it's okay, because it's not okay, and that's not going to make them feel better. So it's okay.
Yeah.
That's not going to make them feel okay. Sometimes what you needed to be was just to sit there and listen to all the things that sucked that day, all the horrible things that that might have gone wrong in the day, and just sit there and say, yeah, that sounded like it wasn't very nice. I'm really sorry you had to go through that, and yeah, you listen to that, and then you try to imbue some positivity into it. Just say, hey, but we were able to take a few more steps today. That's pretty good. And then the other thing that happened off that was, after sort of being there to receive the information or like the emotional dump of, here you go, here's all the crap stuff that happened in my day today. You didn't want to give that back to the person that's sitting in the hospital bed. You never want to be unloading and complaining about your problems to someone that's had a new set of lungs put into them. So making sure I had my own support group where I could go home at the end of the day and say, I had a really crap day today. This is what happened.
Yeah.
Not unloading that on my partner who's had a worse day than I have.
Yeah.
But just letting people know in my own support group, like, yeah, it was a crap day today. This happened and this happened. And I was lucky enough to have a great support crew who would then listen to it and say, hey, that sounded like it sucked. And they didn't tell me it was all okay. They were just an ear for me to talk to, and a release valve for me. And then I was able to be a release valve for her.
That's a perfect example. A release valve, because, day after day, as a support person, it's got to get tiring. And if you don't have that other network where you can go home and just unload a little bit, not that you're complaining or anything, but just being able to just, tell people what's going on and what you're struggling with, and have them feedback from a normal environment rather than the hospital high intense environment. Yeah, I think that's crucial for people to know that. So that's really good advice.